Welcome to DorkChat Radio, starring Kilroy Duncan and Bryant Crawley. Hey everybody, and welcome to DorkChat Radio. I am Kilroy Duncan, and I am joined, as always, by my contentious co-host, the man who argues with me more than anyone else in my life, including my younger brother, and he's a dick, Mr. Bryant Crawley. The AC, how you doing, buddy?
Be careful, or I will ban you from this podcast. Had to get the jokes in, people.
I know. I was gonna do it late. I was gonna do it as a closer.
No.
But you beat me to it. You had to hit it like from the very beginning. Hey, David Griffith can go fuck himself. That's what I'm gonna say.
I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say that he is a very entertaining fellow, and I enjoyed the hijinks of yesterday because they were very entertaining. Mm-hmm. The back and forth with Dino, and Dino yelling at me because I was just eating popcorn and watching. Like, I'm sorry if I just want to watch a train wreck happen, but
well,
if that's wrong to do.
It sucks for me because I was gone. Most of the day. I was not online for most of the day. And I happened to find myself in the Forest Hill Walmart, of all places. I'd run up there to get something. I forgot what it was. It was something that we had forgotten earlier in the day, and I had to go back out and get. And so I'm standing in line at the Forest Hill Walmart, and you've been there. It takes for goddamn ever to get through any of those lines, because they've only ever got like 2 people working. And neither of them care about their job or anyone else at all. The Armageddon could happen around them, and they would just continue at the same pace. Nothing would change. And I'm getting the beady eye from the sheriff as well, who's standing at the front, because Forest Hill, I don't know if you guys know, for those of you not from Richmond, the Forest Hill Walmart, not exactly the most sterling of the Walmarts, if there is such a thing. We have rich people Walmarts, and then we have not rich people Walmarts in Richmond. And Forest Hill, definitely not on the rich people Walmarts. And so they're constantly police there. There's always fights. There's always people getting arrested. It's every time I go to Forest Hill, there's a fucking story. But at this one, hopefully I don't get like knocked for. Nobody's gonna listen to this. Never mind. At this one, they have a sheriff. Or someone from the sheriff's office standing at the front of the store to make sure people aren't like walking out with a TV without a receipt or some shit. And this was a lady, and she was just like staring a hole through me. And I don't know what the fuck I did. I had like 2 items, and she was still staring a hole through me. It was weird. But anyway, it took me forever. And as I'm standing in line, I pull up my phone and I pull up Facebook, and I see that I have 25 notifications. And all of them are from this fucking thread with David Griffith. And I can't read it, because by the time that I have gotten to it, Dino has deleted most of his stuff. So it just looks like this one guy arguing with himself, which apparently was his intent. And then not only has Dino's stuff been missing, but the thread has just devolved into people like tossing popcorn at this guy who's now already been banned. So I missed the whole goddamn thing.
Again, during it was hilarious because I'm sitting on my phone and I'm getting the notifications constantly, and it started at work. Mm-hmm. I was leaving work, was at the grocery store. It is still going. This went on for like an hour. Like I don't even know if it was. I think it was like an hour and a half, honestly, of just going back and forth. And I know I tried to get my little pokes in with the popcorn, and little Clifton made in a couple of remarks. Mm-hmm. I literally think it was the funniest thing. And then, we in DorkChat, we love debates.
Yes.
We love arguments.
Yes.
We love tournaments.
Yes.
But the funny thing is, we don't like, and we don't respect if you lose your cool and insult someone.
That's true.
And then if you insult someone, you personally insult them, or you insult their wrestling knowledge. Because no one knows everything about wrestling.
That's true.
As much as any...
I do want to cut in real quick.
Are you just going to cut me off?
Well, no, because I want you to continue. But I did want to say something real fast, because I know we do actually have a couple of listeners that are not part of DorkChat. DorkChat is a Facebook group. It's a closed Facebook group. You get in by invitation only. And I forget who it was that invited this guy, but somebody invited him, and he was unbelievably dumb and started an argument about King of the Ring, and eventually it devolved into Dino, who's one of our moderators, banning him, which almost never happens. I think 3 people total have ever been banned from DorkChat. But continue. Please continue.
Okay. So, after I was just rudely interrupted.
I am so sorry.
So, well, you should be. Okay. So, as I was saying, when the only thing is you can't insult someone personally or insult their wrestling knowledge because, like I said, no one knows everything about wrestling.
Right.
You always learn something.
Except for Frank.
Except for Frank. and of course Dino, who, by the way, did you know works for 2K?
I did not.
Amazing. And I think that, that should be well known in the group that Dino works for 2K.
It should be. And you know what? Now I know who to blame all of my my thoughts about 2K hating divas. I should blame Dino.
There we go. Yes. Oh, and I should preface it. He doesn't work for NBA 2K or the failed Major League Baseball 2K series that's gone away. No, he works for WWE 2K.
Dude, that baseball series was that went away like 10 years ago.
I know, but I still want to mention it. I'm going to mention also
it was
NHL.
Great. I loved it. It was my favorite series, but that was 10 years ago.
No, I thought the first 2 were good, and then they just went sort of downhill.
Okay.
They just went, because if you have if you're playing and you put it on the hardest difficulty and you knock out 10 home runs in the first inning, it's pretty much not going to be really hard. But that's neither here nor there.
Right.
We established Dino works at WWE 2K, so he works for all W2K games. So this year's game included. So if you want to bother him, you can, but he's just going to ignore you completely in regards to your question. But as I was saying, there's very few ways that we actually very, very few times that we ban people.
Right.
It's one, if you insult people or insult someone's wrestling knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's really it. Now we'll delete your post.
Right.
Because if you add multiple posts, you're not a big group. So you don't need to have 5 posts about, Brock Lesnar returning to the ring. You really don't need that. Except for Josh. Any Brock Lesnar post, tag him in it. Now. Constantly. Every day. Every minute. And then also, what was the other one? Posters without context.
Mm-hmm.
That's just kind of weird. If you just put a picture up there with this, say, hey, I'm gonna put this picture up. Not gonna say reason why. That's weird.
Right.
I don't like it. I don't want to figure anything out with it. You gotta tell me what I'm looking at.
I got after Jay about that today, and he deleted the post, and I kind of feel bad because I like Jay. And I don't know if he listens to the podcast or not, but if you do, hi Jay. But I like Jay. I think he's a little bit more on the Mark side, but that's fine. I love Marks. There has to be Marks or else the business doesn't work. But he constantly posts these remember this posts, and I had to get after him for it today because he posted just a picture of Razor Ramon and 123 Kid with no caption, no nothing. And it wasn't even a picture, it was a screen cap. And it's just that, why? I remember this is a thing that happened, and I do remember that they were a team at one point, but if you're going to post it with some kind of discussion with it, hey, do you think this was the beginning of Razor Ramon's downfall as a singles wrestler in the WWF, or... I hated X-Pac, and now he's a drug-addicted asshole, or whatever. I don't know. Just something. Just give me something with it. And then he deleted the post, and I feel bad, because I'm afraid I hurt his feelings, and I didn't want to do that, because I like Jack.
See? That's why I wasn't singling anyone out, jerk.
Yeah, but
I didn't say anything. No.
You've made that post of, we don't need repetitive posts or things without content, probably 6 or 7 times. And they have gone right by his head. And so
No,
I've seen at least three of
well,
them.
no, I've never said anything in regards to the group. Now we've said stuff to each other in regards to of these whole rules that we've never actually posted. That's the reason why I put this. I put the little list today in regards to what can get you banned and what can get your post deleted.
Right.
We've never said anything else otherwise.
Well,
So,
and there's a reason for that. I dislike groups that take themselves too seriously. And I dislike wrestling fans that take themselves too seriously. And I thought to myself, if I'm going to start a wrestling group on Facebook, I don't want it to be serious. I don't want anybody to take themselves seriously. And I almost posted rules right at the very beginning. And I talked to Dino about it, and I was like, I don't want to do this because I feel like that's gonna seem pretentious. And Dino completely agreed with me, and I didn't do it.
You didn't talk to me because I'd have told you to do it because here we are, and again, rules.
Yeah, we got to have rules now. I mean, hey, we're big enough now that we have to have rules, so that's good.
No, I mean, like I said, like we're not a big enough, so much big like we're 10,000 people. You know, we're close to 200, and like we've had this conversation in regards to between us. Like we've never had established rules, but we've had like what can and can't go on, and what can get someone banned, and what can get some posts removed, and none of the anyone else knows. Right. Like that's the thing. So I don't want to have between us, me, you, Dino, as the creators, and then Dan and Clifton as the moderators know what can go on, and then no one in the group knows exactly what's going on. Right. So if a post gets deleted, you know why.
Right.
If someone gets banned, you know why. Like I would feel bad if someone just got their stuff deleted, and they were like, "Hey, why did my stuff get deleted?" And then we say, "Oh, well, this," and then they just leave. They know now why this stuff will get deleted. Easy peasy. We don't even have to say anything. That's the reason why I wanted to create it. Like I said, it's still ruleless. It's still lawless. We're still living a Mad Fury type world. Okay? It's still crazy. It's technically only 3 rules. This is 3 rules of Fight Club, of DorkChat. So with that, we should go ahead and start the actual
podcast. The actual podcast.
Because we were talking about like 10 minutes of rules.
10 minutes of business. From the old deal. So now that we've gone through that,
pick up.
Man.
What? Been the pick up. Been the pick up.
Yeah, business is gonna pick up.
No, you're saying business.
No, I said business. Business.
No, you're saying with the D too. It's business.
Oh, so it's completely silent.
Is it business?
Business.
That's it. Business, like fitness, business. That's it.
Okay. Well, now we've gotten a lovely.
Chris.
Yes.
Chris.
Yes.
That's it.
You know, I did want to. We touched on this just very briefly. I touched on it rather.
Yeah.
X-Pac. Sean Waltman.
That druggie.
That drug addicted son of a bitch. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm not kidding.
We don't.
I'm not kidding.
Well, yes and no. Obviously he's had a really rough go of it since he left the WWE full time. The whole relationship with China and then the various drug problems. It looked like he was getting his life together here recently. I don't know if he's part of DDP's little cult or not, but he looked like he was getting his life together and things were going good for him, and he'd been doing a lot of indie shows and had apparently been a decent guy backstage from what I understand, and then he gets caught with what officials are saying is methamphetamine and in pill form, and what was it? It was a bunch of pot too, wasn't it?
It's marijuana.
Yeah, the pot, whatever. That didn't faze me anymore. I don't give a fuck if somebody smokes pot, and especially wrestlers. I don't give a fuck. The methamphetamine, that's a big problem. Meth fucks people up, It fucks up their lives, and I got no patience for meth. And if he really was trying to smuggle meth into England,
Hey
what a
man,
fucking idiot.
hey man. He said that meth was for a yeast cleanser because he's had a yeast infection for. Let me see what he said. He
Since
said he's
China?
had it for. Uh, I've had a yeast infection, believe it or not, for the better part of a year.
Wow.
So, I have Candida. I don't know. Cleanse capsules that I got from Vitamin World.
Uh-huh.
And apparently the meth fairy came and turned them into crystal meth. That's the
Ah.
story. He was high when he was giving this explanation on the radio. Okay? Because reading that doesn't even make any sense. Like,
Wow.
first and foremost, there was a bunch of pills. It looked like the authorities, the popo, the
Mm-hmm.
police, sometimes you don't trust them. NWA said F the police.
Mm-hmm.
So, sometimes. But they said there was enough that he could be charged with distribution of those.
Mm-hmm.
So, not just I'm taking them by myself. I'm selling them. And there is something that he did get arrested in 2016 for in regards to a drug arrest.
Mm-hmm.
And his arrest in Los Angeles could be a parole violation.
Right.
So, yeah. He's in a world of I don't care what he says. He needs to talk to someone at WWE and get into someone's program because he needs help.
Well, I mean, I know he's been in programs before, so apparently they
He
just haven't
needs
helped.
continued help.
Right.
I've known drug addicts. They're still drug addicts.
Mm-hmm.
You are a addict for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
You don't. It's not something you gloss over. You come in, you go out. No, it's a continued step. You have slip ups, and you fall off that wagon. You got to get back on that wagon. He has fallen off that wagon from what he just said and what I just read. He has fallen the F off that wagon,
Right.
and he needs somebody's help. Someone needs to put some hands on him and help him.
Well,
Sean,
I'll say this.
Sean,
Yeah, hey.
put the hands on him.
I'll say this. Even Scott Hall, for as great as he's done, Scott's fallen off the wagon a couple of times. It's happened. We've seen it happen with Scott. And that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going back. It just means that they fell off the wagon. Now with Scott, it's very easy to understand because it's alcohol. Alcohol's what gets Scott Hall, and alcohol's so easy to get a hold of, especially when you're an athlete.
Man.
And for somebody that, hey, you're Scott Hall, marks, they don't necessarily know that Scott Hall's battled alcohol issues his whole life. They want to buy him a beer. They see him at a bar, they want to buy him a beer. And it's difficult to turn that down. And I get it. It doesn't excuse it, but I get it.
I'm going to disagree with you. As usual.
As usual.
First and foremost, if you're a wrestling mark, you already know Scott Hall's problems. You already know. Second, any drug in the world is easy enough to get once you're a drug addict. It's not hard. It's really not hard.
Right.
You can get anything. And I'm not calling myself from experience. I've dealt with family members and friends.
You
that's
meth head.
That's it. That's what I do. But any drug can be easily available to you. So I'm gonna say that like alcohol is not no. And first and foremost, if you're a wrestling mark who knows who Scott Hall is, you know his history. You know what his demons are.
I mean, maybe if you were a fan as a kid in the early '90s and you didn't really pay attention after like '98.
No, you're gonna know, because there's no wrestling mark that considers himself a wrestling mark who stopped watching in '98.
I know some people that stopped.
They're not wrestling
right at the end of because they were WCW fans.
They're not wrestling.
When WCW started to suck around late '98, early '99, they just stopped watching.
Again, Chris, you mentioned wrestling marks. Wrestling marks don't stop watching wrestling. That's why they're
I'd have
marks.
to disagree with you on that.
We're gonna have a big old fundamental argument because
we're
that's
gonna have a fundamental argument.
fundamental
being
argument.
The key word.
Either way, you know who Scott. If you're a wrestling mark, whatever you say, this is because it's completely wrong. And you're gonna know who Scott Hall is, and you're gonna know about his demons and what his troubles are. And if you're giving him, if you're sitting there at the bar and saying, "Hey, let me buy you a beer," or "Hey, I want to have a beer with you," and that's what Scott Hall says. No. I'm not going to contribute.
You are a man with a conscience, and not everyone has one. I am going to say that. There are a lot of fans that if Scott Hall came up to him and said, "Hey, man, buy me a beer," they'd do it. They'd do it knowing Scott Hall's history. They'd do it. Because hey, they get to hang out with Scott Hall.
I don't need... No, because if I'm going to be the one that starts your downfall or keep you on your downfall, I'm not going to... No. No. Because what's... like, literally... What's to say that isn't the thing that kills Scott Hall?
Yeah.
What if that drink isn't the drink that kills Scott Hall?
Right.
Would you feel great then? Would you feel fantastic?
The chances of that are pretty low.
How do you know?
I'm not saying I would do it. I'm just saying that there are marks out there who would.
And again, those are dumb people. As Chris Jericho.
Speaking of dumb people, we're going to jump into our first topic of the day 20 minutes into the goddamn podcast.
I thought we were talking about our first
topic.
Well,
it's our first topic that we actually discussed.
Oh, okay.
Roman Reigns and the hate against our dear blue-eyed / brown-eyed / he's Samoan, what the fuck, top dog, it's his yard, as they have reminded me repeatedly since WrestleMania. Roman Reigns obviously elicits a very negative response from what sounds like the majority of the audience everywhere he goes. It is not 50-50. John Cena was 50-50. It is not 50-50. It is somewhere around 30-70 in just about every city they go to. Now, is it warranted at this point in Roman Reigns' career to continue booing this guy in, I guess, and what's the point? What's the point of booing him? Why are we booing him at this point? Are we booing him just because we dislike the booking? Are we booing him because we dislike him being shoved down our throats? Or are we booing him because we don't like him? It's an interesting discussion, and I've had this discussion with a couple of people. Some people really don't like Roman Reigns. They don't like him. They don't think he's a very good wrestler. They don't think he's very entertaining. They are more willing to shut off the television when Roman Reigns shows up than anything else. But then that seems like a minority of the audience, and the majority of the people who boo Roman Reigns are people who are booing him because they don't like him being shoved down their throats, and they don't like him being booked as this monster god who can defeat everyone. Now, as we saw at the pay-per-view, the company has finally decided to give him a weakness, and that weakness is Braun Strowman. And Braun Strowman, hilariously, is not done with Roman Reigns yet, and has continued to beat the living bejesus out of the man on a regular basis, including getting a clean pinfall win at Payback. Now, the question I have for you, and I'm pretty sure I already know the answer, is this hate towards Roman Reigns warranted? And I know I already know you've got this like locked and loaded, ready to go. Is the hate towards Roman Reigns warranted? And do you think that the hate for Roman will dissipate now that they have given him a weakness and made him a little bit more human?
No and no.
Wow.
Like I first and foremost,
Succinct.
last podcast,
I got to give you that.
Yeah, last podcast, I said that Braun would win cleanly and go on to face Brock Lesnar. He won cleanly and is going on to face Brock Lesnar at the next pay-per-view. That's number one. So yeah, Bryant called it. 2, yeah, that's right. Self-promo. Yeah, that's right. That's what I do.
Turning heel.
I'm always heel, buddy. I'm always heel. 2, I don't understand the hatred for this man anymore. Mm-hmm. Like the early on, back in when he won the Royal Rumble.
Hmm.
What was that? 2014.
I believe so. Yeah, because
Philadelphia, 2014.
2013 he was last with Batista,
Right.
who, by the
Right.
way, was being booed out of the building, and people were cheering for Roman Reigns.
Right. Exact. And the interesting thing, people were cheering for him when he was the front member of the Shield for the last 6 months.
Right.
Like, they really were cheering for him. Like, they loved him. Like you said, against Batista, who has the record for the most toss-outs ever at Rumble now? It's Roman Reigns.
Right.
Everyone loved him at that point. Going into that year, everyone loved Roman Reigns. When they split them up, it was interesting. Like, I was talking to someone else. He was the only one. You because we had this conversation before. Like, the last, I would say, 6 months to the year of the Shield, they had switched Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns' spot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Dean used to be the front member, and then they switched it to Roman Reigns because that's who they wanted to be the forefront, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
He was the one in the meter. He was pretty much not saying much, but except, one or two words. But they segmented it so he would be the face or whatever. Fast forward that Money in the Bank. They had, if you look at it, that Money in the Bank for the WWE title, that had nothing but previous champions in that Money in the Bank, except for Roman Reigns. No one booed then either.
Mm-hmm.
The time they started booing was that Royal Rumble, and because he was not Daniel Bryan. That's when the hate started.
Right.
Now, if you want to equate that hate, that's fine. At that point, you did not like Roman Reigns because he was forced down your throat. And you could see that WWE at that point, from that moment on, from that Royal Rumble to that WrestleMania, they were forcing him down your throat, and you did not like it. He wasn't, I would say at that point, he wasn't a good talker.
Mm-hmm.
He was good in the ring, but he should have gotten a lot better for that push they were using, especially as what they were going with, what they wanted for.
Mm-hmm.
So I could understand the hate then. Not so much to the levels, but you weren't a fan. Now, the guy has put on quality matches. Every match he's in. Okay? He's a way better talker now than he was back then. Okay? He is the guy. Literally and figuratively, the guy. I don't understand the hate. And it's gotten to the levels of, it's kind of weird. Because you got a man, I don't even care if it's blood packets or whatever you want to have it. You just took a pounding every week from Braun Strowman.
Mm-hmm.
Like, guys, it wasn't like it was just one. The man literally in this feud has made Braun Strowman look like a monster. And the same man that also Vince McMahon loves. And you can ergo that Braun is doing the exact same thing that fans hated Roman Reigns for. Being pushed down their throats. The only difference is he's doing it against Roman Reigns.
Right.
The exact same thing. But in the middle of the ring, while he's getting pounded on, you're hearing fans chanting, "You deserve it. You deserve it." And cheering and doing it loudly. Like, good God, people. Like, you've already won. Like, I don't know.
It's almost like a great conspiracy theory. Because I remember when, in the 2000s, the early 2000s, the common theme was Vince McMahon's a genius. Vince McMahon is an absolute genius. He's unflappable. He's the best promoter of all time. No one holds a candle to the genius of Vince McMahon. The word genius was thrown around about him a lot. And somewhere around 2008 or so, when the WWE went PG, the genius thing went away. And it was replaced by Vince McMahon's an old, feeble old man, and he doesn't know what he's doing. He's out of touch with reality. He doesn't know what he wants, and what he does want is stupid. And it's devolved into Vince McMahon's an idiot, and he doesn't listen to his fans, and he's a complete moron. And there's a part of me, because I love a good conspiracy theory, there's a part of me that almost wants to believe that all this time Roman Reigns has been a patsy. That Vince built him up to this great, great level specifically to get over someone else. And that someone, turns out, was Braun Strowman. That he took one look at Braun Strowman and said, this son of a bitch is going to be one of my top stars. And if I put him out there and just have him beat top stars, then my audience will hate me for it. But if I have someone else beat all my top stars, and then have this guy come beat the shit out of him, then maybe I can get him over. And it seems too easy at this point that especially the internet has done a complete 180 on Braun Strowman and has made him the biggest babyface in the company. And I'm part of it. I love Braun Strowman. I think his comedic timing is amazing. And I don't know if he's intentionally being funny, but the I'm not done with you yet stuff is fucking hilarious to me. I think it's the funniest thing they've done in years. And it's so simple and it's so small. And I love Braun just destroying guys. I think it's great. And I haven't ever really liked that before. So part of me is seriously debating whether or not this has all been one big plan to get Braun Strowman over.
God damn you. God damn you. See how you did? We were talking about Roman and you flipped it into a Braun Strowman.
I did. And that's, well, they're tied together. They're so well tied together. It's hard to separate them at this point.
Oh, it's not hard to separate easily because one's way bigger than the other. And I'm going to go ahead and say this. That what you just said sounds like you were taking what Xbox was taking in this first segment. Because I don't even know what planet you're on with that. Was out there.
You know what? I'm going to steal a line from my favorite podcast. I'm going to take another swig of beer for the working man.
There you go. Take another
swig of beer for the working man.
Take a whole lot. I
am by the way, drinking a beer that I otherwise would not be caught dead with.
Coors Light?
Everybody that knows me knows I'm a big beer nerd. It's not Coors Light. But it's a beer that I normally would not be caught dead with, and I'm drinking it specifically because we had to buy beer to create some snake repellent stuff. There's my mother-in-law loves making shit, and she found this spray that you can make that repels snakes, and we have a couple of not rattlers but copperheads that live. We're next to some woods, and so we have this little area where some copperheads used to live, and we think we got rid of them, but we're not sure. So she wants to spray this shit all around the area where the copperheads were. And it requires basically 4 12-ounce beers. And she doesn't know anything about beer, so when she sent me to the store, she was like, buy the cheapest thing possible. And I didn't buy the cheapest thing possible, but I bought something pretty damn cheap, and I took the other two.
Wait. First and foremost, I've been to your house numerous times, and you never told me about no damn copperheads.
That's because you would never go anywhere near them. They're off to the back in the back right-hand side of the house. Like if
I'm
you're
never
standing on
coming
my
to your
front
house
porch,
again.
the back right. You'd never go anywhere near them.
I'm not coming over to your house again.
You would never be anywhere near them. Like Chris, ever. There's no reason for you to ever be near them.
Meet me on the street. I'm never coming to your house again. Meet me on the street, right next to your mailbox. It's never happening. Nope.
Right.
Nope. You can tell everybody in the house. Nope.
Well, I'm not going to be living here for very long. So.
Well, we'll not break that news today. So let's keep the happiness together going, except for copperheads. So back to the topic. First and foremost, I don't think anything that WWE can do to make him be a face. I mean, not make WWE fans like him, unless they turn him full blown heel, which fans will love.
Mm-hmm.
But it's nothing they're gonna do. The interesting thing is, I've heard some people say that they don't like his character.
Right.
Well, let's hash this out, people. when you're to Roman Reigns' level in regards to the company, you don't have a full-on character change anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That's who you are. You can change in regards to being a heel and change how you talk on the mic, but that's it. Like, it's not going to be I'm going to flip completely who I am. Like, sorry. Like, literally, this is it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, can we think of someone doing a complete 180 of their character? Like, not going from heel to face, but I mean a complete different total facelift, and they've been as big as Roman Reigns in the company.
Right.
WWE or WCW. Doesn't really happen that often.
Mm-hmm.
It never does. So, I mean, this is pretty much who he is. Like, you're not going to change it. Like, I would personally would love to have him, even though he's gotten a lot better as a talker, and he's in the ring and can carry everything, and he knows the timing now. I'd rather him do that in regards to being a complete and utter badass.
Mm-hmm.
Saying one word, saying nothing, just letting his actions talk for him. I would be happy. I would be, that's who I'd want. But again, do I think the fans would cheer? No. I think the fans have just gone on and made up, their level of hate for things that I just don't understand at all. Like, I don't understand, again, he's not being pushed down people's throats anymore. I don't like him.
Right.
He's gotten a lot better in the ring. A whole lot better. Probably, I would say top. Where would you rank him in regards to wrestling? In regards to in the ring? In regards to WWE?
Like currently?
Yeah, currently.
I mean, he's one of the better big men, for sure.
Like, that's the thing. I put him right up there. Like, it's not that many that I would put over him, honestly. Because he's getting it used to be who he was wrestling,
right?
But then he started to wrestle everybody,
right?
And
once he opened up and started wrestling different guys,
yeah, he was wrestling
when he was wrestling just Kane and Big Show. He was kind of limited.
He wrestled Kane, Big Show, Triple H, Daniel Bryan. He wrestled Kevin Owens. He didn't wrestle Finn. No, he did wrestle. No, he didn't really take. Did he take on Finn in a match? The night Finn came back. That was a battle royal, wasn't it?
I think so.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. Because that wasn't. Because everyone thought Reigns would lose that match against Finn because it was 1-on-1, and Finn went again. I'm giving you examples, reasons why he's not getting pushed down people's. Throats.
As far as in ring goes, I think Finn, AJ, and Nakamura are obviously above him.
Owen,
I think, yeah, Owens is
got a big belly.
Owens is above him. I think that Rude is above him, but Rude's NXT, so he's kind of separated. But a lot of those guys, again, you're looking at guys that have 10, 15 years in the business. Yeah. Guys that have been working for fucking ever.
Again, he hasn't been wrestling that long compared to everybody else, and and this is what, in a 2-year, 3-year stretch that he's gotten this good.
To me, the best comparison for him as far as what he's actually done, would be Magnum TA, and I know that some of my older NWA fans are gonna fucking hate me for comparing him to Magnum TA, but it's true. When Magnum came into Jim Crockett, he had one move. It was a belly-to-belly suplex, and that was it. He had 3-minute matches where he squashed George South and the Mulkey brothers and hit the belly-to-belly suplex and finished him. Right. And then they started feuding him with the Horsemen, and he started working Tully, and he started working Arn, and he started working Ole on a regular basis, and they made him better. And by the time Starrcade, I think it was 85, 86, or maybe it was Starrcade 80, yeah, I think it was 86, right before the car wreck. And he had that I Quit U.S. title match with Tully Blanchard that Earl Hebner was the referee for. That still, to this day, is one of my all-time favorite matches. By that point, Magnum TA was one of the top workers in the company.
Right.
And everybody knew this is the guy that's going to take the NWA title off of Flair. And when he got hurt, and that was the end of his career, they went with Ron Garvin, because WCW. But to me, Roman Reigns is very much in that same mold of Magnum TA. It's just that the crowd did not react to Roman the way that they reacted to Magnum, and I frankly blame it all on that first injury. That first time he got hurt, because he was on such a roll, and the fans were either iffy on him or they were all behind him, and then he got hurt and was gone for 2 months. And during those 2 months, they focused on Daniel Bryan, and they focused on who was the other guy they were focused on at the time? It was Daniel Bryan and somebody else. And by the time Roman Reigns came back, he was being shoved down people's throats.
Here's the thing. This is what I'm going to keep saying. I'm going to keep harping on it because I think he was gone for because he did. What did he do? I want to know what was his injury. But I'm trying to look it up right now. It was 2013. Does that sound about right?
I think so. Yeah.
Because undergoes. I heard. Okay, I see that. All right. So it was. What was the date? God damn! Give me a date. Give me a date, people. Never want to give you dates. But either way, oh God, I wish people would give dates. Come on, Google. You're not helping my cause here.
No.
But yeah, 2000. It was September 2014. He came back 2 months later, in November 2000. In November, when he came back, it was a hernia. It was emergency surgery for a hernia.
Right.
Hernia. The problem I go back to is the Royal Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
Like it wasn't even the build. The problem I go back to the Royal Rumble, and the problem I go back with the Royal Rumble is because he wasn't Daniel Bryan.
Mm-hmm.
Like Daniel Bryan was not involved in that Royal Rumble. That was the problem. Everyone, when Rey Mysterio,
poor
last
Ray.
guy out there,
poor
number
Ray.
30, because everyone was thinking they would use Daniel Bryan. They had a match. I think it was the very first match on the card was the Bray Wyatt Daniel Bryan match. Then they figured that Daniel Bryan would be in the Royal Rumble. I don't know if he had to win it. I don't know, whatever. But the fans wanted to see Daniel Bryan, and when Rey Mysterio came out at number 30, the fans revolted, and it didn't really matter who had won. They were going to get the ire. And the problem is, the ire went to the guy who you were turning into the face. Yeah. No, not the guy that won. The guy that was going to be the face of the company.
Right.
That was the problem. If it would have been someone else, if it would have been like if you had Randy Orton win, and then the next night Roman Reigns challenged Randy Orton for his WrestleMania spot, I guarantee you wouldn't have saw the hate.
Right.
Directed at Roman Reigns. But that point, you can pinpoint when it happened. And again, I don't think anything is going to change besides an actual him going heel, because then the smart marks will be like, oh, he's heel now, I can cheer for him. Even though he's the same exact guy.
I still believe that a 3-month heel turn and then a return to babyface is all he needs. Turn him heel for 3 months and then turn him back. Do the Daniel Bryan thing where he joins the Wyatt family and then pretends and then goes, never mind. Do that with him.
I'm just not even saying that. I'm saying the second he turns heel, fans will start cheering for him.
Oh, I know, but then you can turn him babyface again for the marks. 3 months later, it won't, and it'll be fine because everybody will be cheering for him now.
And the interesting thing is, I would say this. It's a very interesting thing in regards to, I would equate the hate for Roman Reigns as something that you would see in regards to, I'm going to just say, a Skip Bayless.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah.
You can't stand him, but you're going to continue to watch.
Right. He reminds me, his career arc at this point is reminding me a lot of, like I said, Magnum TA before, but that's more of the in-ring stuff in terms of how quickly he got good. But his career arc is actually reminding me a lot of Kevin Nash when he was Diesel. He came in as Diesel. He was a heel. He didn't really talk much. He didn't really do much. Then he turned on Shawn, became a babyface. He was over initially, and then when they started pushing him at the top of the card, fans rejected. WWF did not care. They stuck the world title on him for a year as business tanked all around him. He was a top babyface for a year with the title. Finally turned heel, lost the belt to, I think, The Undertaker, wasn't it? At WrestleMania?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then was a heel for a little while and then jumped to WCW where he became more popular than he'd ever been in his entire career by just being Kevin Nash. And I really feel like that could happen for Roman Reigns.
I don't even know if that would happen. I would just say this, like I said, in regards to Skip Bayless, he is, you may not can't stand Skip Bayless, but you would still watch.
I don't.
You would talk. A lot of people do. A lot of people do. And I could equate it to other stuff, but I'm not going to. Okay? Because, I don't want to. But you hate that, but you're still going to sit there and talk about him. You're gonna sit there, because just like Skip Bayless and other people, famous people, whatever, I don't want to single anything out, but you're gonna still talk about him, or whatever. You're still gonna watch him. That's the same exact thing for Roman Reigns. WWE knows people do not like him, but yet they're not turning away. They're still talking about him. They see those fan pages and fan sites and all this other stuff where the actual driving force in regards to going to the clicks and all that is Roman Reigns.
Right.
It's Roman Reigns. They know that. Like, they know that they have their hooks in you. So, like, they're not really interested in changing at all. Now, the second that I think the public stop watching or stop caring, which that's why we talked long ago when I said a reaction, if you're a wrestler, the one thing you want is some sort of reaction when you're there. When you're on the way to the ring, some sort of reaction. Most nights a lot of nights he has the loudest reaction. It happens to be the reverse of what WWE technically wants. But they want you to get a reaction. They want that reaction. We've gone to shows where the fans just sit on their hands.
Mm-hmm.
That's something I think once, if the fans either A, stop giving a reaction, B, stop watching, or C, stop caring, then they'll really change. But I don't think there's any inclination of changing right now, and I wish they would. I think he'd be better as a heel, but they're looking at it and like, why change? What's the point? So,
well,
that's all I got.
We have now gone 48 minutes or so into this podcast, and we have gotten one of our planned topics down. So we're going to try to run through some of these pretty quickly.
I don't want to run through them.
We're going to run through them.
I'm
not doing another hour and a half podcast. It's a son of a bitch to edit. Not happening. Next up, Jinder Mahal.
That's your fault,
We got some gender love. Fuck you. We got some gender love going on in DorkChat specifically. I think primarily between you and me. I think you and me are the marks for Jinder Mahal at this point. I think Cliff's kind of, hey, it's somebody new. I don't know if anybody else is really digging it or not.
Oh, they are.
But I'm digging
Except Josh.
Except Josh.
Josh
I missed this.
Josh has. Wait, I just want to say Josh has an eternal love for Brock Lesnar.
He does.
Oh,
he does.
That's it.
It's manifested itself as hate, but sometimes the one you hate the most is the one you love the most. So we're gonna hit these two real quick because it's primarily gonna be you, because I didn't get a chance to see it. But Jinder Mahal apparently had another segment last night that was pretty good with Shane McMahon, and then and I wanna just say, for the record, I'm behind Jinder Mahal. I'm behind this push 100%. I know for a fact he's not winning the fucking title. I wish he would. But I know he's not winning the goddamn title because they're not going to do that. They don't have the balls to do that.
I think they have the balls.
I don't think they do.
I'm starting to believe they have the balls. I'm starting to believe that they will put the belt on him because it's what's best for business.
It reminds me of the Sheamus situation. When Sheamus came in, and everybody's like, hey, I like Sheamus. I don't know if he's a top guy. They're pushing him like a top guy recently for whatever reason. But he's a decent mid-card, upper mid-card guy, right? And then he beat John Cena for the fucking title.
Yeah, they put the belt on him.
it could happen. I'm just saying that there's precedent for something like this to happen. I just don't know that if it will. But personally, I would like to see it. I think Jinder Mahal, if of all the fucking people to pick in the locker room, he seems like a random pick. But he's a guy who's obviously worked very hard on his body since his last run. He went out into the world and came back to the WWE, which Vince likes. And he's obviously committed to being a better professional wrestler. His matches are so-so, but then again, they've had top guys that had much worse matches. Mm-hmm. So, for me, I'm behind it. I think Jinder Mahal being the guy to transition from Randy Orton to AJ Styles or to Nakamura or whatever would be fine. I think he'd get nuclear heat if he was the world champion until Nakamura. And then that Nakamura match where Nakamura versus Jinder Mahal, where Nakamura would probably beat him in about 7 minutes. That would be the biggest cathartic thing for these smart marks that hate him. I just think it could work. I think that as a transitional champion, he could be great, and it would settle him into the mid-card and the upper mid-card in that Jack Swagger role of a guy that used to be champion and now just kind of floats around as a character.
Oh, is it my turn to talk?
Yes,
I was
it's your
just
turn.
letting you. Okay. I mean, because it seemed like you were handing it off, and then you just took it right back. Like you were an Indian. You were an Indian giver.
That's rude.
Well, I really didn't appreciate
Especially
it.
when we're talking about Jinder Mahal.
Well, first and foremost, he's Canadian, so I'm going to refer to him as that. Okay. Stop being racist. Okay. Be nationalist. As I was saying.
Make America great again.
Well. If we want to make America great, we send all the Canadians back to Canada. Kevin Owens, Chris Jericho,
Jericho resides in Atlanta now. I don't know what you guys
Stop that. He's been residing in so many places, New York, Atlanta, reside back in Canada.
Man.
I know this is going downward.
This is going downward real quick, and we're ticking towards an hour real fast.
Well, we're tick, 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 buddy. Okay, as I was saying, you're going to edit this and you're going to like it.
The fuck I will. It's going out exactly like it is.
Then fine. I don't care. Doesn't bother me. You act like it's my problem.
Like an hour 15, hour 20, my audio, the recorder that is recording us just stops. So we are not there yet. We got enough. We still got a long way to go. Fuck that.
But you need to. You're break. Look, am I going to get a chance?
Jinder Mahal.
Okay, as I was saying, Jinder is awesome.
Mahal.
First off, he has the stable.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that can work. Mm-hmm. Second, he has the look. Okay, I think the funniest thing is they've had him hold this belt for the last 2 weeks.
Right.
Okay, Shane finally got it back. Which, okay, Randy. It would have been funnier if Randy tried to get the belt back, but either way, I like the fact that he's in a photo shoot taking pictures with the belt. That's awesome.
That is awesome.
Okay. I just think this is the way to go. Like, I think you can't build up this and have him just lose. Like, literally, right. Jinder is the one making this actual feud matter.
Right.
Not Orton's not doing anything in really regards to it or whatever. Like, and Jinder has done this since pretty much week 2 after WrestleMania, because it was the week after the Superstar Shakeup or whatever. Right then, that's when it sort of started. So, and then actually, if you wanted, they should have had him win at WrestleMania, the Battle Royal.
Yeah, but I understand why. I understand why they went with Mojo.
But you understand, who was the last guy that Mojo threw over the top?
Exactly. The last guy in there with him was Jinder, so it should have been a clue that they were planning on something big for him there.
Right. Who was the guy that threw the water, not once, but twice on the Gronk? That's right. The Gronk. It was Jinder. They are building toward Jinder, I would say, getting the title. I don't say possible. I think he is going to win the belt. That's one thing. 2, the Fashion Police are awesome. Okay?
Yep.
Like,
I said that the minute they paired those two up.
When, SmackDown's just and this is why I love SmackDown so much. And this is why I was when we talked about it in regards to the Superstar Shakeup, I was like, SmackDown is going to be fine and perfect. They're still going to create stars, but they're going to actually create, they have stars, but they're still going to be able to create other stars. You put Fandango, and
Fandango.
And Breeze together, you make them a tag team, you don't have them really do anything, and then they win the actual number one contenders match last week. This week, they have one of the best segments on SmackDown. Like, they're going to make an entertaining feud with the Usos, who also happen to be heel. Like, the tag team that won the number one contendership is a heel tag team.
Right.
And they're going against the Usos, who's another heel tag team.
Right.
But yet, you want the Fashion Police to win.
Right.
Like, it's a beautiful
They're
thing. Like,
goofy heels. Goofy heels are almost baby faces.
They're goofy heels, but you know what? SmackDown is the land of opportunity. And by God, it is a beautiful thing.
It's beautiful because this kind of tag team is my favorite kind of tag team for the mid-card. And it's happened twice now, and they were both in WCW, and I was waiting for WWE to do something in the same vein, where they just take two guys who are doing nothing as mid-carders, smash them up together, and say, be a goofy, slightly effeminate tag team, and have fun with it, and just go wherever you want to go with it. Disco Inferno and Alex Wright. The Dancing Fools. I fucking loved that group. I thought they were hilarious. I thought it was a perfect breather mid-card team. You got Serious, Disco and Alex, Serious. And it just gives the audience that chance to breathe and laugh and have fun. And I loved that run. Then they had Lenny and Lodi. You remember them? The West Hollywood Blondes? Near the end of WCW. Not only were they fantastic at their gimmick, they committed at that gimmick, but they were actually really good in the ring. Lodi got really, really solid at the very end there, because most people only remember him as the sign guy for Raven. But he was actually decent, very decent at the end of that run, and Lenny Lane was extremely talented. So you had those two guys playing that, again, that same similar mid-card goofy, they were technically heels, but you could laugh at them, that act. And I've been waiting for WWE to do it. I thought they were going to do it with Billy and Chuck, and they didn't. And so having the Fashion Police basically do that same gimmick, for me, the second I saw it, I was like, that's money. That's money. Those two guys are sold for the rest of their careers playing this character. This Fashion Police character. They can run this for the rest of their careers, in and out of the WWE.
And I will say this, that the reason why I love the Superstar Shakeup, because it was the addition of the top guys to an actual product who giving people a chance. With the first, the first was, I think it was the first and second night, they had the number one contendership, and everyone was wondering why was none of the big names, Corbin, AJ, Owens, or whoever, in the actual number one contendership for the WWE title. It was all pretty much mid guys or whatever.
Right.
And they gave it to Jinder because you want to establish other guys.
Right.
The mid card, and we're seeing, is going to be the U.S. title is against AJ versus Owens.
Right.
Awesome. Then you have, this is Backlash. This is Backlash, people. Backlash, we have AJ versus Owens. Awesome. Jinder versus Owen for the WWE title. Awesome. The Fashion Police versus the Usos. Awesome. Then we got Naka probably versus Dolph.
Right.
Awesome. 4 matches.
Mm-hmm.
4 matches, which, you know what? You're looking forward to each one of those matches.
Yeah, Dolph's going to bump like a madman for Nakamura.
For Naka.
You know it's going to happen.
Exactly. And again, it's only 4 matches. Backlash is already better than Payback. And it's 4 matches in already.
And frankly, I liked Payback.
And you care about each one of those matches.
I'm going to say...
That's not including the women's match.
I'm going to say a very short thing about Payback. And I'm going to give you a chance to say a very short thing because we're pressed on time.
Okay.
I liked the Bray Wyatt, Randy Orton House of Horrors match.
I liked it. I wish they would have gotten the time right in San Jose, but other than that, I'm fine.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's one of those logistical things that you're like, hey, this is dumb, but it's wrestling. Everything's dumb.
Well, I
I
mean,
loved that they filmed it like a movie. I loved that they were obviously hitting each other very hard for no apparent reason. And for those in DorkChat and who are listening to this podcast that know anything about my past written work and the character Tommy Levi that I created, someone dropping a refrigerator on somebody's head, that's kind of my gimmick, and I fucking loved it. I love that Bray Wyatt did it. I love that it finally that gimmick saw the light of day on WWE television. It made me happy.
I would just,
yeah.
I just would end it. Like I said, you said light of day. It was in San Jose, and they rolled up in pitch black. That is bad. That's bad. It's 6:30 at night when that match started.
Right.
6:30 their time, and it's pitch black. The
Right.
problem. 2, the match should have never left that house.
Right.
If it's
I
a House
agree.
of Horrors match, why is it taking place in the ring?
I agree. I
Simple
think
as
if they
that.
really wanted to give the fans the payoff of Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt being in the building, they should have done it as a dark match after the pay-per-view.
I
They
wouldn't
should have
even
had
have
them show up after the actual pay-per-view has gone off the air. They can show up and do a little brawl for the audience and then run away with it there. But then again, it gave us a chance to get Jinder more over. So
right. I mean, he could have still showed up at the house. That would have been interesting.
that would have been
Again,
fun.
Again, that would have made it more over the top. He just shows up randomly at the house and it hits him with a frying pan or something like that. That knocks him out cold. You throw the refrigerator on him. 1, 2, 3. It's over. Let's go to our final topic. Go.
Well, it's not our final topic. It's
I
our
thought it
second
was.
Final topic. Nope. We got Jericho. We
Oh
haven't really
well,
talked about Jericho yet. I want to say
Jericho's.
this about Jericho. This is the best run he's had his entire career.
You are just delaying the inevitable. But go
I am.
on. Go on.
Jericho's run this last year and a half, starting with the friendship with Owens, going through the list, doing all that stuff with the U.S. title, all of that. It beats him being world champion. It beats him being the Jerichoholics deal in WCW. It was the most entertaining week to week. Every single time I saw Chris Jericho, I was excited. Thing that he's done at least since his initial WWF run. And I think it's the most entertaining thing he's done in his entire career. And while I'm sad to see him go, because I know that means that run is over, I think it's the right time, because if he hung on any longer, his act would get old.
I'm gonna say this. Love Jericho. Happy that he did had a great run. He ain't dead, okay? He'll be back.
Right.
Like he's not retired. He'll come back. This was his greatest run that he's had, and I'm not gonna throw it out and all those caveats he's been. No, I'm not gonna say all that. It's been his best run since he's returned and done these on again, off again part-time deals. I'll say
For
that.
sure. Yeah, absolutely.
But it's not better than any stuff in regards to previous when he was a full-time active performer in WWE. I'm not going to go that far.
As far as in-ring work
goes,
goes,
that's a prisoner
obviously,
of the moment.
As far as in-ring work goes, obviously, his work with Benoit and Angle, that whole era where they were feuding over the Intercontinental title.
Oh
and
man,
the
wait,
European title.
man, come on, man, come on. I'm getting all choked up. Don't do that.
That run specifically was better in the ring than any other run that he's had. He was mature as a wrestler. He was working with two of the top wrestlers of all time as far as in-ring work goes. He was hanging in there with both of them and dealing well. His stuff with Triple H was good, and he looked like a main eventer when he did it.
Right.
Personally, to me, when 10 years from now I think of Chris Jericho, there's two things I'm going to think of. Him in the ring with that list of 1,001 holds, and then him with Kevin Owens doing the list. Those are the two things that I'm going to remember from Chris Jericho right off the top of my head.
Well,
and
fair.
That's just how that's going to be. So, yeah,
That's
to
fair.
me, this is his best run ever, because it's the most memorable one for sure.
I'm just still going to say before we move off topic, and this is going to be wrap this up. I think it was really stupid to put the U.S. title on him for
Hmm.
all of 2 days because it made no sense. Especially the fact that if he would have stayed on Raw, his Fozzy tours are mostly on Tuesdays. His concerts are mostly on Tuesdays, so he could have popped in, popped out for on a Monday Night Raw here and there or whatever. But you moved him to SmackDown, so yeah, way to go.
I
Made no
liked it.
sense.
I
Yeah,
liked it. I thought
I
it was
didn't
I
like
thought it
it.
was a nice little here you go, one last US title reign before you go, and we'll
Yeah,
have something special for the SmackDown episode so that Kevin Owens can beat you on the way out. I liked it.
yeah, yeah. Because honestly, didn't really need that because they still had Owens versus AJ in a face-off that I actually cared about. And here's another thing: the little beatdown supposedly that Jericho, sent him away. He's had a bunch more worse beatdowns after WrestleMania when Owens turned on him. Way, way worse than what they did after the SmackDown in regards to him going away.
Well,
Like
maybe it's cumulative.
again,
Like you
culminative
know,
my culminative my left cheek. It was borderline just dumb because we said it, called it on Sunday, like so he Owens is gonna win the belt back on Tuesday. This is dumb. This is exactly what it was.
oh,
It
by the
was the
way,
top
David
of the
Griffith
pay-per-view.
is the only person in the world that knew that Owens was going to win the title on
Well,
SmackDown.
yeah.
Only
Apparently
person.
he doesn't. He didn't read the thread
Only
because there's a
person.
bunch of people. But he's not here to defend himself, so I'm not going to talk about him. Okay, so let's move on to the final topic. Final
I'm going
topic.
to talk about him. But final topic. We're going to hit this final topic and we're going to head home. Uh,
I'm already home.
champions. I meant for the viewer.
Oh,
Maybe they're driving and they're going home.
okay.
The
While
champions.
he's driven to hell.
That was reaching. You're reaching. You're
Wow,
reaching for Benoit jokes now.
reaching for what? With a Bowflex?
See, that was good. That wasn't bad.
Come back. Boomerang.
Champions. Specifically, this has been brought up with Brock Lesnar, Bork Laser. Do the champions need to be on every episode of television, and do they need to defend their world title? Specifically, world champions, I think we're talking about. Do they need to defend their title regularly? Now, of course, the old adage, of course, was that the champion had to defend his title within 30 days. And they've even recently enacted that, I believe, on SmackDown, was it not?
Yes, because Naomi, everyone wants to bring that up, but Naomi
Right.
was legitimately injured.
Right, of
And they
course.
didn't know
But
that's the
at the
reason
same
why.
time, kayfabe, you have to defend the title every 30 days. And if you don't, you're subject to suspension or the title being held up. Now, obviously, Brock Lesnar does not show up every 30 days, especially when he takes his leaves of absence. Now, you can argue the reasoning for giving Brock Lesnar the title right before he headed off into one of these absences. You and I both agreed that giving the title to Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania seemed a little off, if nothing else. I believe you were behind the idea of the WWE title being Goldberg versus Lesnar. But
Hmm.
at the same time, giving it to him knowing that he's about to take off for a few months does seem a little weird.
I don't.
But
I didn't
both
think
of
that.
us, I think, agree that the world title does not need to be defended every 30 days, or at least publicly, as often as we have gotten used to the world title being defended. For instance, John Cena would regularly defend the world title, every other week on Raw? If not every week on Raw?
Hmm. He would show up every single week.
He was on
He
every
would
episode.
defend. He would
On Raw
defend the
and
belt.
SmackDown when they
Uh,
merged them back together, and would defend the title on a regular basis every week. And to me, it felt like it devalued the title.
hmm
It wasn't special to see world title matches anymore because you saw them every week. Now, when we were kids, growing up, NWA, WCW fans, when Ric Flair was champion, I know for a fact that he was defending the title probably 26, 27 times a month, but they were all house shows. You didn't see it on TV. They didn't put Ric Flair defending the world title on television, but maybe once or twice a year. And then outside of that, you would have big events. And on big events, the title could change. And occasionally those would be broadcast on pay-per-view. But seeing a world title being defended when we were kids was a huge deal. Even for Hogan. Hogan would only defend him on the major televised events. He didn't defend it on, WWF All-Stars. That wasn't a thing that happened. He didn't defend it on Primetime Wrestling. He defended it at Saturday Night's Main Event or the Royal Rumble or WrestleMania. So for me, I know that I don't feel like the title needs to be defended all the time. And I'm while I feel like Brock Lesnar should at least make an appearance, even if it's a pre-tape thing, where he talks about, how he's Brock Lesnar and he can do whatever the fuck he wants to do, and he's not going to defend the title until Great Balls of Fire, and he dares somebody to come get the belt from him. That would be nice, but it's not necessary. I'm fine with Brock Lesnar being Brock Lesnar and the title not being defended until this horribly named pay-per-view. What about you?
I would say this, and when Brock held the belt before, I had no problem with what they were doing. I would like the WWE to treat it like boxing and UFC, and the champion, you have the champion of different weight classes or whatever. They don't defend it they don't defend their belt every month.
Right.
They defend it every other month, a couple times a year or whatever.
Yeah, 2 to 3 times a year.
Yeah, it's not something I need to see, because at the same time, you make the belt seem prestigious when they show up with the belt. Right. You make the belt mean something, especially for a belt that really has no lineage with the Universal title. It has nothing. It's the Taco Los Tacos belt, the Tacos Ritos belt. So it means nothing to anybody. Like, that's the thing. I loved Owens to death, but it meant nothing to Owens. I would say the U.S. belt is worth more to Owens than this belt, because it means something. So yeah, it's better if you don't defend it. And also, the fact is, when you don't have them on the show, the number one contender or the person with the belt, it makes the other guys step up and have a great, build up that mid card. Was anyone complaining in regards to this past Monday for a triple threat match for an Intercontinental title? I don't think so. Everyone enjoyed themselves. And we look at it yes, Randy Orton was on SmackDown 2 weeks ago in regards to when he got jumped by Jinder Mahal in his match or whatever. It was at the very beginning of the show. It wasn't the end or the main event. The main event was in regards to the actual, was it the number one contenders match?
I believe so.
For the U.S. belt. They're making the mid-tier belts mean something. That is what we want. Remember, that was the plan for John Cena and Daniel Bryan when they won their belts at WrestleMania 31. John Cena was going to be the U.S. champion, and he made that belt very prestigious. Remember that.
But by defending it every week.
But it was the U.S. belt.
Right.
That was my point. It wasn't that's the thing. It was the U.S. belt. He defended it every week for the U.S. belt. That's the reason why they put it on Daniel Bryan and John Cena. Daniel Bryan, however, we're not going to discuss what happened to him, but it's a tragedy. But that was his point. That belt didn't get prestigious until The Miz came along and made that belt something. They want those belts. Those belts should mean something, carry as much, not the same weight, but a greater value than what they were previously. And that's what I want. That's what I love, that they're investing into that mid card. You don't need the main event, the main champion, the Universal Champion, WWE Champion, show up every week. I don't need that 15, 20 minutes of them. We know who's champion. We know who the number one contender is. We don't need to do this back and forth every other week. I get him one week, you get him the next. We've done that for how long? Okay, it gets old. Like, I love this doing something different. I love the champion not being on a pay-per-view. Heck, if you're the champion, you should have the less workload, because you're the champion. You're doing everything behind the scenes. You're doing the promo work. You've earned that right to not do all that. Like, if you still want to if they still want them to do house shows, I'm cool with that. That's fine. Keep them off TV.
It helps sell the house shows.
Thank you.
It helps sell the house shows. That's the reason why it was that way when we were kids, is that it helps sell the house shows. If the world title's defended every week on TV, then it's not special and you don't care. But if the world title's defended once, twice a year on television, then it's a big deal, and you get big TV ratings when you're going to do it, and you hype it up like a motherfucker when you're going to do it. Plus, you're able to advertise these house shows, and you're like, hey, by the way, at the house show coming to Poughkeepsie, New York, Ric Flair is going to defend the NWA World Heavyweight title against Barry Windham. And you're like, holy fuck, he's going to defend the title. I've got to go.
I would give you perfect examples that we've seen that since the belt's on Brock, we've seen that he does these house shows or whatever. I mean, when he was the champion, he did that. He did once every blue moon house shows, and those house shows were amped as heck. Oh, yeah. When he wasn't the champ, and they did the exact same thing, like the house show in New York when he faced Kevin Owens. How hype was that? And he was on the card. Like, we talk about some random house show in, what was it, Texas? Mm-hmm. Texas that he did. He did it. It was a squash match, but dang it, like, how hype was it in regards to see Brock? Like, that's what I want the title to be. The person wearing the belt, if you got to that level, you deserve the actual rest. You deserve that prestige of, hey, I don't need to show up every week. I don't.
Yeah, it's
because I'm the champ.
I don't know how much of it is Brock or how much of it is Paul Heyman, and I'd venture to say a lot of it is Paul.
I don't even think a lot of it's Paul.
I think a lot of it is Paul, because I think Paul is actually managing Brock's contract negotiations and stuff.
I'm not going to say that.
I think he is. I think he has a hand in it for sure. But this idea of being able to make Brock special is something that is so unique to this era of professional wrestling. That it does surprise me, and it does obviously rub some fans the wrong way. That this is a guy who knows his worth, and he's going to enact his worth. And much like Lou Brock did in Major League Baseball by becoming a free agent, it actually does help the rest of the roster. If Brock Lesnar's like, you know what? No, I'm a huge star. People pay to see me. People will pay to buy tickets. People will pay to buy pay-per-views. People will pay to order the WWE Network if I am wrestling. And because of that, I am going to keep my appearances rare so that I get maximum return on these appearances. Because the more you see me, the less special I am. I think that's actually going to have a good effect on the rest of the roster over time. They've obviously learned it with Nakamura. Nakamura has not wrestled yet and will not wrestle until Backlash. And that's because they have realized Nakamura is special. He's somebody that needs to be kept special. And if you keep his in-ring matches rarer, then when you have his matches, A, he can go all out because he's not beat up from wrestling 4 or 5 times a week. But B, the audience will react because they're finally seeing him wrestle. And I think it's a lesson that the WWE is slowly learning that, hey, by the way, the old guard had it right originally, and you got to go back to some of those lessons. I'm
going to disagree because I agree with your stance in regards to saving the champ. I would say still this. I would still say the main belt holders do not need to show up every night, every pay-per-view.
Right.
But Naka is a special attraction who they're highlighting in regards to his first WWE in-ring debut at the pay-per-view against Dolph Ziggler. However, he's been wrestling every night at every SmackDown dark match he's wrestling.
Right.
Everyone.
But they're always tag matches.
No, he's wrestled
tag matches or triple threats.
No, they're not. He's wrestled some individual singles matches. They're not.
Really?
They're not saving him for Backlash. They're using him in regards to the same way what they were doing in regards to before when they turn it around. They're using him in regards to as a buffer in regards to keeping the audience tied in regards to staying for 205 Live.
How is that any different from Ric Flair? Where Ric Flair would show up for TV and would cut a promo, and that's all he would do for television. And then after the television was done, he would wrestle Barry Windham for 45 minutes.
Because there's some shows that Naka's not even on. He's only been on 2 shows in SmackDown, and he's done. I'm trying to think. Yeah, 2 shows. Because he did the entrance. I think it was 2 shows, either 2 or 3.
I think it's
But
3.
I think it was 2.
I think it's been 3 weeks.
3. So 3 weeks total. But what I'm saying in regards to is different in regards to this. They're not saving him because they're still using him for the you need to stay for 205 Live, so we'll give you Naka afterwards.
Right.
Like, they're giving you that treat to stay in your seats for 205 Live. Sit through this, and we'll give you this treat of watching Naka wrestle. Like, they use that same thing as for John Cena. John Cena was that guy in its first place because people would get up and leave once 205 started because it was like 10 o'clock at night. And no one wanted. I mean, that was.
As I recall, you wanted to go when we went to SmackDown last time.
I wanted to go, and I regretted that decision because it's not the atmosphere of 205 Live is not the Cruiserweight Classic.
Right.
It's kind of dead in the arena. It's sort of like when all the energy is just gone out the room. It came back at the very end and then before the dark match. But before that, I almost fell asleep. To be perfectly honest with you.
Shout out, by the way, to Brendan Scott, who I believe is part of DorkChat. I think I've invited him, who was on that episode of 205 Live.
See? There you go. Sorry, dude, I almost fell asleep on your match. Probably did fall asleep. But that's what I'm saying. Like, in regards to back to the original topic, because we got to bring it back.
We got to bring it back. Beginning.
I would say champion does not need to be on every pay-per-view. It's a kind of a waste to have him there if we're going to do the same run-of-the-mill thing over and over again. If you're going to be the champ, hey, you get some break time, whatever. You get some downtime. Do whatever. That builds up the mid-card. The mid-card becomes stronger. Then when somebody gets knocked down to the mid-card, you're like, oh, okay. I can go see him because of that. Like that's my thing. I think that it benefits the mid card IC belt and United States belt. Like there's more stuff to do in regards to having the champion on the show.
Well, I'm going to toss this out to our listening audience.
I don't care what they say.
Those of you who are in DorkChat and are listening.
Not going to change my opinion.
I want to know what you guys think. I'm pretty sure I know what Josh thinks.
Josh loves Brock Lesnar. That's what he thinks.
Josh loves Brock Lesnar. Wants to have his babies, but
all of them.
All 5, I think. Brock wants
17 and a half.
Oh, 17 and a half. Oh, he's gonna have his own reality show.
Well, I mean, the baby may end up like a goat, so that's where we get the half from.
Okay, it's a half person.
Yep,
I get it. Not like short like you, like half people, but like a half a person.
You know what? I'm going to pass on that.
I am maybe an inch taller than Bryant, by the way. Maybe. Maybe.
And also, you're being very racist. And when you figure that one out,
hey, this is Trump's America.
No, it's not. It's still Barack's. I don't know what you're talking about.
Folks, I'm gonna.
Our president is black. My Lambo is blue. So there, buddy. That's what Jeezy said.
Oh my God.
Yay!
We're gonna close this out before we get to an hour and a half. I love you guys. Thank you for being my one solace on the internet these days because everything else sucks. I love DorkChat and fuck David Griffith and Cliff Eats ass.
Just so angry and aggressive. Like, wow. Like that's how we're gonna end it?
Yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah, David Griffith. Let's come up with different ways that David Griffith could meet
an
untimely end.
Can I?
He could jump off of a building and land on spikes.
Wow.
He could poison himself with Viagra so he gets a raging boner that ends up starting to bleed so bad that he loses all of the blood in his body through his dick.
Wow. Okay, so can I go ahead and say my out piece? Because you're just going on like.
You know what, folks? I'm going to send it to you. Not only do I want to hear what you think about the world title, I want to hear how you think David Griffith should die.
Okay, can I go ahead and say my out piece?
Yeah.
Okay, well, my president is black and my Lambo is blue, so fuck, fuckity, fuck, fuck, fuck.
See you next time,
Rock
guys.
out! Rock out! That's right. That's right.
Holy